Today on the Truth is podcast, we got a fun one now. My guest is Nate Worthen, owner and founder of Professional Real Estate Services out of Utah. Nate went from coaching college basketball to running a boutique commercial brokerage that does about 70% commercial, 30% residential, and has worked in over 40 countries with a client like the LDS Church. We're going to talk about how he made that jump, what it's like to run a small but mighty firm doing global deals, and how he's using AI tools like ChatGPT, Grok, and Pargo.ai to find off-market properties and stay ahead of the curve. Nate, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Marcus. Thanks for having me on.
Good. Now, Nate, your journey is unique. Now, college basketball coach to commercial real estate broker. Can you walk us through that transformation and what initially drew you into the commercial side of the industry?
Yeah, some people are born to do commercial real estate. Other people, kind of like me, stumble into it. So I thought I wanted to be a basketball coach. I'm not particularly good at basketball, but I've got a mind for it, or I thought I did. And so I spent some time coaching basketball around the country and landed my first real full-time gig in South Carolina at a school called Columbia College, home of the Fighting Koalas. Yeah, it was it was an NAIA school, all women's school. So I was on the girls' side, and I had a great experience there, but I wasn't getting paid hardly anything, and we weren't very good. To give you some context, I think we might have set a school record for wins at 6 wins. So it wasn't great. I ran out of money and started to realize this was going to be a lot longer path than I had expected. So I came back to Utah, lived in my parents' basement, and Marcus, I would have been happy cleaning toilets, but I fortunately got a job working for a commercial firm as a transaction coordinator, and I ended up being really good at it, and the rest is kind of history.
Just so you learned on your own then, sound like,
That's exactly right.
from the bottom.
I stumbled into it.
Yeah. So you mentioned when we talked before that you mentioned dabbling into property management multiple times before focusing on brokerage. What were the key lessons that you took away from that experience, and why did you ultimately decide to sell your interest in the property management and focus entirely on professional real estate services?
Yeah, thanks. In commercial real estate, it's tricky because owners it's one thing to transact. It's one thing to buy a piece of land or a building. It's a whole nother task to keep that building operational. Someone's got to do the facilities management or property management. It's a full-time job to keep the buildings going. And my clients needed a solution. So I thought, hey, let's add an additional service line and see if we can be profitable and retain clients. And while those things did happen, we were profitable and we did retain clients. I did not have a passion for the operational side of the business. I wasn't particularly good at it, and I wasn't having as much fun as I was having doing the brokerage side. So ultimately, I think it was better for everyone involved for me to liquidate my interests and become a referral partner to property managers and focus on what I do best, which is transactions.
Okay. All right. As far as the scope of your brokerage, tell us more about your current firm. As a small boutique broker, like I said, you handle about 70% commercial work and 30%, 30% residential. So what's the core focus on your commercial work, and what does it take for a small firm to manage deals in over 40 countries, including, the highlight profile client like the LDS Church?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough I didn't cold call the LDS Church and win their business. I was part of a team early in my career that was servicing that account. And over time, I won their trust enough that they said, hey, if you're going to, I was with a national firm called Newmark. And so I left Newmark and the church said, hey, we'll follow you. They weren't going to give me their entire portfolio, but they gave me a piece of it because we had a good relationship. So I think to answer your question, our focus is on multi-market users. So the LDS Church is one. We also represent a group called Neighbor, which is a platform for industrial outdoor storage. So we're helping people find fleet parking opportunities around the United States. And then we've also got a client who manages probate. And so we take on a lot of work for people who are trying to move their real estate through the probate process. And you'd be surprised how many people, their father or mother or grandfather owned a whole bunch of real estate, but didn't teach the children or grandchildren how to operate that stuff and what to do with it. So we have to get involved and try to do a rescue mission on some of those. So that's what we do. In terms of people who want to maybe get into this industry, for me, it was helpful to learn the industry first before I tried to start my own thing. So I spent 6 years learning under someone else, working for someone else. I was taking a salary with a little bit of a commission before I said, hey, I think I can do this on my own. I think that is really helpful because owning your own brokerage is not easy. It's not, the revenue doesn't show up at your doorstep very quickly. It can take a couple of years before you start making money. And so if you don't have that kind of runway, it can be helpful to go somewhere else and learn from someone else.
Okay. And so you mentioned the what is called neighbors or the
Yeah,
fleet.
fleet
And
parking.
so
Yeah,
that is the what?
fleet parking.
Okay. And so someone else just mentioned that recently. That's a growing industry, correct?
It is. Yes, it is.
Okay. Tell me a little bit more about that for our audience who had never heard of that.
Yeah, so there are users across the country. The most maybe common or obvious would be Amazon. Amazon has truck or vans. You've seen them because if your wife is like mine, she's buying, you got boxes showing up every other day on your front doorstep. And someone's got to drive that van to your house and bring you the package. Well, there's probably 50 or maybe 100 of those vans out at a time in a given market. And at nighttime, we got to store those vans somewhere. And you might, someone who doesn't know might think, hey, those vans belong to Amazon, which isn't actually in most cases true. They're hiring a third party to do their last mile delivery for them. And so they've got to store those vans on their own site, separate from Amazon. In some cases, Amazon's got some excess parking that they'll lease, but in a lot of cases, they're looking for parking. That's one scenario. There's rental car companies. Is equipment rental. There are large construction projects. If you think about your interstate, every time it gets widened, they've got to stage all of that equipment somewhere. All of that is opportunity for parking leases. And so that is a growing segment. For investors, it's cheap. All we got to do is improve the ground, make it level, put down some road base, maybe some asphalt, maybe a fence, which is really cheap relative to building a building. So for minimal cost, we can improve a site, park a whole bunch of vehicles there. And at this point, vehicle parking is pretty expensive, meaning it's very lucrative for landowners to do that. And that's a nice way to sort of hold the land until it's time to maybe develop into something more permanent like a building.
All right, I appreciate that explanation because that is a growing market that a lot of people don't know about. And let's segue to the technology. I know you're big on technology. You know, you're a heavy user of going beyond the elementary tools like ChatGPT, to explore some LLMs, large learning models like Grok and Anthropic. What do you see the most exciting applications of AI right now for a commercial brokerage firm?
Boy, gosh, there's so much going on with AI right now. So there's a space you're probably familiar with, the markets called prop tech, property technology. And not every prop tech is an AI tool, but there's a lot of crossover between the two. And I find that intersection to be where the current opportunity is greatest. So for me, site selection is a big deal. It can be really cumbersome to try to go find, let's talk about fleet parking, to go find some land that someone can park on. We don't have that type of property listed very often. So we've got to go drive around and find ground that we can figure this out on. And the commissions are relatively small. So how do we really make money doing this and make it efficient? Well, there are AI tools that can analyze parcel data and we can create search parameters about what we want, and they can highlight however many parcels fit that search criteria, which is way faster than us driving around and trying to do it manually. And so that's one of many opportunities I think that AI has offered us. It can be scary because maybe AI could eventually automate some of the stuff we do to provide value, but I think early adopters are the ones who are going to find a lot of value.
Okay, and so you're big on the early adopters because you mentioned Pargo.ai. Is that the property search parcel search tool, correct?
Yes, exactly right. It does
Okay.
exactly what I just described.
So where did you find that tool, or how did you come across that tool?
Yeah, technology is really interesting. I heard somewhere, this is hearsay, so I don't have a source, but I had heard in the last 30 days there had been 2,000 new apps, AI app tools that had been sort of delivered to market. That's a lot. It's too much for one person to sort through. So I find that I come across technology opportunities best when I surround myself with a network of people who are like-minded, who are also early adopters. So there's a few names. I'm going to drop them here in case any of your audience wants to, drop them a follow or make a contact. There's a guy out of Portland named Michael Hieronymus. He's probably the leader in commercial real estate and AI application. I I meet with him a couple times a year at different conferences, and we've become good friends. There's a guy out of Kentucky named Bo Barron, an investor out of Dallas, Fort Worth. His name is Mark Seipert. I'm in Utah. And so, how do we all get connected? Well, with some intention, we found each other and sort of said, hey, you're in my space, commercial real estate, and you like technology. What if we kind of got together and traded notes? So, when I find something interesting, I send it to them. When they find something they think is cool, they do the same. And that sort of community has built organically, which has been really cool.
You have to network. I mean, I know AI is could do a lot of automations, put tools together and everything, but real estate still is a people business.
It is. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a people business. So I know you're a leader. As a leader, you're involved in a CCIM Technology Advisory Board for site to do business. You have a high level view of prop tech. What are the biggest technical technology shifts you anticipate seeing in the commercial real estate brokerage space over the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, the honest answer is who knows. But I'll give you some ideas. I think uh property management, asset management, we're going to see that go to a whole new efficiency. I mean, in terms of engaging vendors, uh work orders, managing expenses, that is has been sort of a heavy load for an assistant property manager. We've had humans doing that. I think a lot of that can be done by AI in a very efficient way. AI is best when it interacts with data. So imagine if you've got however many million square feet under management and taking that data, feeding it to AI, and AI helping you make strategic decisions like, hey, your snow removal costs seem really high at property Y compared to the rest of the portfolio. Ah, okay, well, what's that about? Can we find some efficiency? I think humans are still going to have to give some direction, but it feels like management, especially asset management, being strategic, isn't going to shift. On the brokerage side, I think site selection, portfolio optimization, that is, I mean, if brokers are relying on those two things as sort of their own value prop, they may need to find because I think we're going to be able to use AI so efficiently in those two areas that we've got to, like you said, remember it's about relationships for us and then using the tools to do the actual work.
Now, where do you see your company, Professional Real Estate Services, in the next 6 to 12 months? What are your goals as far as growth? Anything you want to share?
Yeah, gosh. Uh, if you're listening to this, I hope you don't use me as an excuse, and I hope this isn't underwhelming to your audience, Marcus. The reason I started my own boutique brokerage was for a lifestyle balance. So while of course I want to grow, I'm not as interested in having a large team I have to manage. What's more interesting to me is having a lifestyle. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and I want to be able, when she gets home from school, I want to sit on the sofa with her and listen to her figure out how to read the word spaghetti. Like that, there's no amount of money that can buy that experience. So that's where I'm focused at in my life is having a business that is strong enough to provide for our needs, give us some investment opportunities and plan for the future, but also is flexible enough to give me a family life that I'll cherish for the forever. Those are my goals is try to raise a 6-year-old daughter and keep my clients happy at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Family is very important. By the time she's 6 now, she's gonna be 18 off to
Mhm.
college sooner than what you expect, quicker than what you expect.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right, man. I would say I can't wait, but I can. I
Yeah,
wanna the moments we have now.
exactly. You definitely have to cherish that. Now, Nate, I like doing 6 fun lightning round questions.
Let's
Okay,
do it.
is like should be fast. Whatever you come in your mind, come on, let's answer. Number one, who's your all time favorite basketball player and why?
Okay, there was a guy that played for the Utah Jazz. His name was Jacques Vaughn. He was the backup to John Stockton. Yeah, so my
With the
boy
Kansas.
exactly, you got it, yeah, my boy is Jacques Vaughn. He's a leader first, but willing to take a backup role. I love that guy.
Good. Yeah. Now, if I fly to Utah, all right, what's the one spot you're taking me to eat first?
Cool. Okay, I'm gonna pick you up at the airport. It's less than 10 minutes from the airport. We're gonna stop in a little Mexican place called Chunga's. Look, there's a lot of Mexican places all over the country, but this place is the best I've ever had. Anyway, we'll take you there. We'll get you their steak nachos, homemade tortilla chips. Marcus, you may want to relocate here. That's how good those nachos are.
And I love Mexican food actually. uh, if you could keep only one AI tool in your business, which one are you keeping?
Man, okay. I feel like I'm a pretty good communicator. And I'm going to say we all, that may be a generalization. We all use ChatGPT to elevate our communication. But I probably wouldn't pick ChatGPT because I think I'm not as good, but I'm pretty good. And so I'd probably pick this Pargo tool. I'm telling you, the site selection, the ability to narrow down off-market opportunities is incredible to me. So for now, Pargo.
Now, Dream City, if you could do a big commercial deal in any city in the world, where would it be?
Oh man, I'll tell you. It'd probably be Fairbanks, Alaska. And this is why. I on my bucket list, I want to try caribou steak. So if you're listening to this and you have a caribou steak in your freezer, please call me. Caribou can't be sold. Can't be commercialized out of Alaska because it's game meat for sustainability reasons. So you have to know someone who's got it. So I would like to do a big deal out in Fairbanks and then fly up there and anyway have a cookout with some caribou meat. That would be a dream for me.
I love it. Now, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you outside of real estate?
Yeah, I once went snowboarding in North Korea. And you might think, can you even go to North Korea? Going there is not the problem. They'll let you in. Getting out is the risky part. And fortunately, that wasn't an issue for me. But yeah, back in 2017, I spent a week in North Korea.
Right.
Yeah,
Now, if you could go back to college, your college days, what's one piece of advice you'll give Coach Nate back then?
man, I think I would tell him that the only person whose approval matters is my own. And I spent too much time trying to impress other people, trying to dance for other people. And if I had just done my dance the way I wanted it, I would have been even more attractive to other people. I don't mean physically. I mean, I would have been more of a magnet to bring people and goodness into my life just by being me. And I figured that out little bit later, but I wish I would have done that earlier.
The great Nate, this has been a great one. I love chatting with you. Now, we covered your journey from college basketball coach to global commercial broker, how you build professional real estate services as a small firm, doing big work and how you're using AI tools like Pargo.ai to find deals and serve your clients better. Now, for the people that's listening who want to learn more with you or just connect, where's the best place for them to find you online?
Yeah, if you want to connect, LinkedIn is great. You can find me, Nate Worthen, CCIM. Or if you would like to interact, you can go to my website, prorealestateservices.com. Pro is like professional. And I hope that you're finding direction by listening to this podcast. I think Marcus is terrific. And let me end with this. There is enough business for everyone who wants to be in commercial real estate. There is abundance. So don't be afraid because you think there isn't enough to go around. I'm telling you, there is plenty to go around. All you got to do is go work really hard and it'll come to you.
All right, I'll add your contact information to the notes. Now, to everyone's tuning in, thanks for listening to the Truth Is podcast. If you got value from this conversation, hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone in real estate who needs to hear it. We'll see you on the next one.
Thanks, Marcus.